Well, aloha and welcome to an extra spooky episode of Truth Seekers, where I have an extremely special and honored guest here on my channel. And we're going to talk about the horror of reality and the reality of horror. Tune in as we present Truth Seekers. And my own little brother is going to be a guest here. You'll get to know him in just a second. Here we go. Okay, sweet. What's up, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I'm still learning how to work all of the technology. Everyone, please meet my brother Adam, aka White Rabbit on YouTube. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on?
So this is my brother. He's been featured on my channel a couple of times under a special segment called "The Real Supernatural Brothers." And the reason for that is because we grew up watching this TV show called Supernatural, and it really resonates with the both of us. Like just them being brothers. It's about these brothers, two brothers, and they basically fight against the forces of evil, while at the same time using their esoteric knowledge on fringe, weird, and supernatural, sciences and reality and myths and legends, religions and whatnot, to sort of fight the forces of evil as they go. And they go up against all kinds of monsters and ghosts and demons and spirits and gods and all kinds of anything you can think of, really. And I love that. And so does my brother, because it resonates with the both of us, being like that there's a reality to science fiction, there's a reality to horror, and there's a reality to like the supernatural elements of the world. What do you think about it all, brother?
Honestly, you said it really good right there. There's a reality to pretty much every horror movie you've ever seen. One form or another, it's based on true events or legends of true events, folklore, things like that. Some of them based on closer to reality than most people want to get. Child's Play is probably one of the most famous ones, based off of the doll Annabelle, the haunted doll possession.
Oh, hold on. I don't even know anything about that. So let's talk about that. What's the reality behind Child's Play? Ooh.
Child's Play was actually based off of the doll Annabelle, who was a famous doll that was possessed. It's still actually in a museum right now. It's kept under lock and key 24/7. The doll's been known to cause serious injury in people, organ failure, just really negative, nasty crap happens to people who mess with this doll, who'd even touch it.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm
Uh,
looking it up go ahead and tell everyone about it.
so Lorraine, I'm trying to think of her last name right now. I came up on a blank. I'm sorry. There's a psychic woman who went around with her husband for years. Long story short, if anyone knows the last name, I'm blanking on it right now. But long story short, this is one of the artifacts they came across. This doll is probably the most well-known possessed doll in the entire world, and it's for good reason. This thing doesn't cause I mean, like, probably, I think it's close to 150. Yeah, see, that's Annabelle from the movie. Annabelle, the real doll, looks more like a Raggedy Ann doll, if you remember
Oh,
those.
okay. Yeah, I think I have that one here.
Yeah, the
Like
one right there.
this one?
Yep. So
Got
that
it.
is the real life version. You can actually, if you saw go back one, there's one of it in its case down at the bottom. This case is actually blessed on a daily basis.
This
By
one right here?
yes, it is actually blessed. I mean, full on holy water and all, blessed daily by priests. It is that
Ooh.
big of a deal. They come into this house daily to bless this case. They have to keep it locked because a simple latch door wouldn't work. It kept coming in, and the door was open, and the doll would be on the floor or on the counter, um, just various spots in the room. So yeah, that is a picture of the most possessed doll on this planet that we know of.
Oh my God.
Which was the inspiration for the Child's Play doll movies, as everyone knows, the psycho killer doll that comes alive and starts killing people.
Yeah,
Uh,
Chucky
yeah,
and
Chucky.
other doll types.
Pretty much
Uh,
every doll horror movie you've ever seen was in somewhat way, shape, or form based on Annabelle.
Oh my God. So this is really interesting, like bringing, like getting into the topic of inanimate objects coming to life or being possessed. You know what I mean? Um, so there's lots of different examples of that. Like,
You guys want to see a
um,
live version of it?
yeah.
Anyone here ever seen the show Destination Truth with Josh Gates? It's an older show, like I want to say 2012 ish. There's an island where he goes. It's called the Island of the Dolls. It's in Mexico. This old man used to own it. A girl drowned in the river surrounding this island. And he kept telling everyone that the island had been haunted because of this girl drowning in the river. He kept hearing voices, he kept hearing singing. People kept bringing dolls to this island. And over the decades, this is hundreds and hundreds of dolls. They're decrepit and dirty now and just creepy looking on their own. There is an episode of Destination Truth where Josh Gates is talking about how they just saw this doll close its eyes. And as they zoom the camera in and he leans in to look at this doll, its freaking eye opens right on camera.
Oh my God.
Like just it goes from like this to like that. Very creepy. But yeah, no, possession of inanimate objects is 100% real. It's not a joke. It's not something to mess. It's why me personally, I'm totally against Ouija boards, unless you know what you're doing, because that's just asking things to come out and play,
Yeah.
and you may not like what shows up.
What do you suppose draws them to particular objects to possess them? You know what I mean? Like, why would it choose this doll right here instead of like the toaster or whatever?
A lot of people think it has to do with personal connections, something you owned, something that reminded you of something you owned when you were alive. A lot of people just believe it's whatever adamant object that comes closest to their needs. That doll has arms and legs. You know, a toaster can't strangle you.
Yeah, right.
You know, your toaster falling off the counter might not be as scary as a doll that stands up on its own. Um, as far as malevolent spirit goes,
Yeah,
I believe it's more or less they choose things like that to psychologically mess with you. A lot of people believe that the weaker you are mentally, and by weaker, I don't necessarily mean weak minded. I mean scared, terrified, any state that where you're not thinking clearly,
yeah.
that spirits can actually interact with you more.
That makes sense. I always thought that like it's easier to be possessed when a person has a weak soul. You know what I mean? Like their energy level is just low. They just have a weak spirit, and people
It's
with
just
stronger spirits, you know, can like are they have, it's like having a stronger electromagnetic field to keep things out, unless of course they already vibe with whatever energy is trying to get in, which is when they become empowered, like they just amplify that. Like if they're evil already, there's an evil spirit knocking at the door, you know what I mean?
well, I have a general rule of thumb in my investigations. Back when I was doing Night Wolf, our whole group had that thing. We actually went to a psychologist's office and tried to be hypnotized because if you can be hypnotized, it's believed that you can be possessed.
Well, I
And
cannot be hypnotized.
I I could not be hypnotized, thankfully. But yeah, that was one of the first things I actually studied into. There was a guy by the name of Dr. Stelmuth, back in the 70s, did a bunch of studies on different types of sleep paralysis and sleeping disorders, hypnotism, things of that nature. And after reading some of his work, I figured out that that sounds a lot like the situations that ghosts, but particularly violent spirits, are in. And I was like, I wonder if that weakening of people's senses because they're scared or nervous or whatnot
Yeah,
comes into play with being able to be possessed. And sure enough, a lot of people in the paranormal field who can be possessed are people who can be hypnotized. Zach Baggins is a very famous one from Ghost Adventures. He claims in his own book that he went under hypnosis, which explains why. And I believe it was one of the later seasons of their show. He gets very. I wouldn't call it possession. He gets oppressed. Um, a lot of people don't understand the difference. Spirits can have a huge influx of emotion through you. They can make you angry, they can make you sad, they can make all kinds of stuff without actually you being possessed.
right.
And there's been a couple times on his investigations where even his own crew is like, "Man, you're freaking me out, calm
Yeah.
down."
It's energetic. So, like we're dealing with energy, pure energy at its rawest form. And we have pure energy within us as well. But we also have a counterpart of the physical capsule or body or whatnot. So I think people they get lost in the physicalness behind it, and they tend to forget about their spiritual being themselves, and
The
how the
energy, yeah.
spiritual world, yeah, and the energetic world wants to like interact with our energies. Huge shout out to Jim Donovan in the chat, who donated $80 in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jim. And I think you wanted to give Jim a special shout
I
out too,
actually
right?
did. Jim, thank you so much for donating to my Face of Horror competition. Those of you who don't know, I'm in the Face of Horror competition. It's getting down to the nitty gritty, and he did me a huge solid and hooked me up with a huge donation on that. And I appreciate you, Jim. Thank you very much.
And a shout out to William McLean, who also joined the Good Vibe Tribe. Bro, so what I want to do is I kind of want to just pass the mic over to you real quick. I got a couple of notes of things I want to talk about. Um, but before I do, I wanted to tell everyone about your Face of Horror competition. So, being you and I are pretty big horror fans, I would say you beat me though. Like you're probably a bigger horror fan than I am. And my brother has entered into this Face of Horror contest, basically where everyone can cast a free vote every day through Facebook. I'll put the link in the description of this video afterwards, but it's also in my community tab. If you want to vote for my brother, you can. If he wins, he'll get a possible spot in a horror movie, and he will win like $13,000, which will significantly improve life. But anyways, if you want to cast a vote for him, just go over to my community section right now, and there's a little link you can click on. You can get a free vote every single day. It's kind of a popularity contest. Okay, there's no skill involved really. It's just a fun contest for horror fans. Now also, what I wanted to have you talk about really was your experiences as a paranormal investigator. What was the group called? Nightwolf?
Yeah, Nightwolf Paranormal Research.
Yeah, let's tell us all about that. What was your experience as an actual ghost hunter? How did that begin? Let's start there.
I just had a lot of like-minded friends. We had a lot of friends of ours who would get a very tight group of us, the six of us, and one of our group friends' mother was actually relatively well-known psychic, Kathy DuPont. She's written a couple books and things, and we always talked about it, how we were all very interested in ghost hunting and things of that nature. And keep in mind, this is long before Taps or any of those ghost hunter shows. So one night we just decided to say forget about it. The first time we didn't even do it technically legally. We went into a cemetery without notifying local law enforcement, which you were supposed to do, by the way. Um, we I came in as the
Wait,
skeptic.
time out. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm sorry. You have to notify the cops when you're ghost hunting?
Oh, if you go to a place like, even if a cemetery is open 24/7, even if it's a public
Oh
cemetery
yeah. You so
that's
they want to
open,
make sure you're not digging up a damn
yeah,
grave.
you don't want six people walking around a cemetery in the middle of the night and the cops get called on you because they come out very upset.
Okay. All right. Okay, go on. Go
You
on.
gotta you gotta stay within the confines. But I was actually relatively a skeptic. I'd always loved horror movies and things of that nature, but I'm a very see it to believe it person. I need to experience something. I need to. So I was like, I had questions. It wasn't I was a complete disbeliever, but it was about our third investigation at a place called Tarpon Springs Cemetery. Right behind that is an old abandoned slave cemetery in Tarpon Springs, Florida.
Okay.
It's completely unkept up. They still have the original tree they used to hang people from back in the day in the middle of
Oh
this
my.
cemetery. It's freaking crazy. This place is so lit up with paranormal energy that as soon as you get through the front gate area, I mean, every hair on your arm is standing on end. The little feeling where the hairs on the back of your neck are standing up. It's very energized with stuff, and we were very professional for there for a group of 18 and 19-year-old kids with one adult. Cat that would be Kathy. Yeah, I saw photos like that. We took a few like that. The thing you have to understand about most ghost sightings is most ghost sightings, you don't see a clear cut person. You see things like this, which, by the way, this image right here is a great explanation. I'm a smoker, you guys. I don't condone it. I don't like smoking. It's a bad thing. Bad Adam. But this is why we don't allow smoking on a paranormal investigation, because photos like this are genuine, but people are like, oh, it could have been cold outside and you exhaled. When you go on an investigation, there are very strict rules you have to abide by. You don't exhale while you're taking photos in case it's cold and you catch condensation from your breath on the lens.
Right.
You don't smoke. You don't. There's various things. You're taking an EVP. You make very clear notes of any noises you make so that you can cut those out of the audio that when you're searching through it for unknowns. But during that particular investigation, I actually got scratched clean down my back to the point where it actually drew like spots of blood, like little freckles of blood down my back.
Oh my God.
And it was my own fault. I made a really stupid comment. I I was basically saying I don't believe in ghosts and screw you and things of that nature.
Oh, you were
I was
pushing the boundaries.
I was
Okay.
provoking,
I got you.
and it
Yeah.
was all of a sudden my back. It didn't. I didn't feel a scratching motion. It just felt like my back was on fire, like it burned. And we actually left because none of our equipment was working. We couldn't get flashlights to work to check it out or anything. We all got in the van, went down the street to the local gas station, and they actually had photos of it. I had three huge, just you can't even say anything other than scratch marks. I had three huge scratch marks from the middle of my shoulder blades clean down to almost my tailbone.
Jeez.
And at that point, I was like, "Nah, we're going back to the cemetery right now, and I'm going to figure out what did this." And so we went back, and we had a lot of experiences that night, man. We caught something on camera. One of these days, I'll see if I can find the photo and I'll share it with you, bro, so you can share it to them. We have a photo of something. I swear to God, is like just this far shy of looking like Slimer from the Ghostbusters without the face and eyes. It's just the shape.
Wow. How far away was
Um,
that?
it was probably 3 feet in front of the camera.
Jeez. So what kind of stuff did you guys do like whenever you went out? Like did you start gathering or like, getting like equipment, different types of equipment,
Oh,
or
we did all that our first literally the first month we were up and running. We before we went on our first investigation, we probably spent $500 back then, which is a lot back then between all of us. Now you can probably get the same stuff for a lot cheaper, but we spent about $500 on equipment. We had a electromagnetic field reader, we had digital recorders, we had night vision cameras, we had a lot of good stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I tell everyone you don't need night vision and all this stuff to be a paranormal investigator. Honestly, the three things I feel you really need is you need a digital recorder because EVPs happen all the time everywhere. I've told people this like if you
Yeah.
leave a recorder leave it long enough in your bedroom, you'll pick something up. It may not be
Tell
every
everyone what
day.
EVP means.
Electronic voice phenomenon. It's things that you don't hear. You don't always hear EVPs with your ears in real time. But let's say me and Jason are talking right now. All of a sudden, you'll hear like a hello in the background that
Nah.
we didn't hear.
No, forget that.
That's what an EVP is. And there are different classes of EVPs. There's A, B, C, D, and F. Um, A's obviously are ones you can tell what it says first time through. You don't need to re-listen to it or
Oh yeah.
rewind and go, "Oh wait,
Okay.
what did that say?"
Wait,
You
so
know,
would that be like the strongest form?
yes, and
Like A or whatever?
A
Can
class A
you
EVP.
can you hear a class A sometimes like with your ears?
You can
Because people
hear.
have heard voices like when they're off in the forest or whatever, but it doesn't seem to actually be coming from a person.
Well, that's the weird thing though, is because EVPs. The reason I say always bring a digital recorder is because it's so weird. Because sometimes things you hear with your ears don't show up on film, and then things that you don't hear with your ears will show up on the tape.
Right,
It
yeah.
it goes both ways. So if you have one with you, it's better to always run with one on. That way you can get both your personal experience with your own ears,
Mhm.
but then you can also get a backup copy in case you catch something on that you
Yeah,
didn't hear on tape.
yeah.
The creepiest thing I ever heard on on tape is we caught a "I'll kill you, get out."
No.
Um, we were
Where was this?
we were at an abandoned insane asylum out in Florida,
Okay.
and we actually got well, we didn't. One of our members got permission to go out there, a friend of mine, and we went up there. And this was actually after I had been with Nightwolf for a while, and or been away from Nightwolf for a while. And me and this friend and a few other friends went up there to go do the insane asylum. And there were reports that at this insane asylum that there was lights that were being reported on, which the entire building, let me explain this, the entire building was cut from the electrical grid. It's not connected to any power source whatsoever. There's one guard on property, and he was just in a little shack that was actually at the very edge of the driveway because the security company would no longer staff people close to the building because they were scared of what was going on.
So they had a security guard at an abandoned insane asylum?
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be like a shack guard. He drives around the parking lot making sure the perimeter's secure and people aren't breaking
Right.
in,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
But they had actually moved this guy's trailer to the far, far end of the parking lot where you drive in at because they refused to stay close to the building because of the things they were hearing and seeing. They'd see lights in the third story of this building come on in a room, and they'd go up to check it out. And of course, the lights aren't on, and they're like, "There's not even a light bulb. What the heck
Oh my
is
God.
going on?"
Yeah.
That's the building we heard the "I'll kill you, get out." Um, and what's really messed up is we actually replayed that in real time. And what that is sometimes when you're doing EVPs live on an investigation, you'll stop for a minute after you've done your session, and then you'll just record and or rewind and re-listen to what you just recorded to see if you can pick up anything in real time, so you know if there's something's responding to you.
Right.
And we asked the question, we're like, is there anyone still in here? Do you need anything from us? Do you need help moving on? What's going on? Things, questions like that. And at the end of my friend Josh talking, clear as day. And it's, I mean, it if it wasn't a class A, it was right on the border. It was a very guttural, get out, I'll kill you, underneath him talking. Like at the
Jeez.
like it was talking over him. It couldn't have been
Yeah.
him.
What'd you do?
Oh, when we heard that, we actually turned around and we're walking to go meet everyone else and show them what we caught. We were like, guys, we're calling them on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went back and showed everyone else what was going on, and a couple of our other people had some weird experiences too. Like, nobody was supposed to have been in this building. I told you it's on security lockdown. We got permission to go there.
Yeah.
um
Who'd you have to ask
Upstairs,
permission?
um they had to ask a city representative, who actually had to get in touch with a state representative, who got back to one of our friends. So it was actually someone in the state level. I don't know all that. I didn't that was not my jam. But long story short, the people upstairs actually found the creepiest thing to me, which was just odd. In the children's ward upstairs, they found a rather large puddle of orange liquid that we have no clue to this day what it was. It was just this, I mean, orange liquid on the
Yeah.
floor. And the weird thing is there was flowers in it, but they weren't just like dead, dying, like they were brand new flipping roses.
Yeah. That's
Like
weird.
brand new.
Yeah. What was the liquid like? Did you touch it with anything,
We
or
we we poked it.
I would have poked it?
We
Not with
totally
my
poked
fingers or
no,
nothing, but
we totally poked it with a monopod stick, the thing that you walk around with your camera on.
yeah.
We it was thicker than like a juice or a water or anything. I don't know if you want to call it slime or ectoplasm. I honestly believe that's what it was.
Right. Yeah. That's what I
Um,
was kind of thinking.
and this floor, the floor they were on when they got all that, was also the same floor that the security people had seen lights on and people standing in windows and just an odd number of assortment of things. I personally have seen a lot of things just because once you open yourself up to it, it's a lot easier to see and feel things. um, I equate it to a lot of people like flipping a switch. Most people's switch is in the off position, okay? They don't know about it. They don't want to know about it. They don't want to see it.
Right.
Things of that nature.
But I mean, it's everywhere. you
It
know?
is it is absolutely everywhere, and anyone
Yeah.
who denies that, I've told you this experiment before, bro. Go get a pack of batteries and put them in a cemetery overnight. Unopened pack of batteries, go put them in a cemetery. Watch what happens. Those batteries will be deader than a doornail by morning, I guarantee it.
Yeah, because of the energy.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever thought about you I've thought about this. I'll bet a really good place to capture ghosts, like a high percentage that you would be able to capture one like on film or whatever, um or otherwise, would be garbage dumps actually. There's a lot of ghost sightings at garbage dumps and landfills and stuff like that too. And I one of my theories is because of all of the gases that are everything's decomposing and stuff. They typically haunt places that are have decomposing stuff like cemeteries. So a landfill is a great one. People have experienced hauntings and seen ghosts and stuff at landfills at night as well, which I think is the gases become ionized. But this also gets into um, like in ancient times, and religions talk about this too, like food and drink offerings to spirits or whatever. They eat, but they don't like pick up, like how in Slimer does in the movies. They would pick up a cookie and actually physically eat the cookie or whatever. It's the decomposing matter. They leave it out, you know what I mean, just like
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
And how fast it decomposes is how they would judge whether or not it was accepted and eaten.
Yeah. So that's really interesting, though, decomposing foods and the gases that are coming up off of that, or milk. You know what I mean? That's why you don't leave out like water, like distilled water. Leave out a glass of distilled water for Santa or a ghost or whatever, because it wouldn't produce any gases or anything. Uh, Now here's a question that I have for you. We were talking about ghosts and spirits and hauntings and things, and specifically possessing inanimate objects, and animate people and animals as well can be possessed. But what do you think about integrating the future of technology when it comes to, since we're talking about like science fiction and horror and stuff? And this would be a great thing for like um I mean, we see this on the movies and stuff too, but they're making robots, AI, all that stuff is really, coming to light these days. It's really developing and stuff. And
That
they're
is
making humanoid robots
scary
as
thing.
well. They're also making the chips to put into people's brains and stuff so that they can be connected by thought or whatever. What kind of implications do you see when it comes to the paranormal world using our technology, or abusing our technology, or even possessing it?
I will tell everyone this from the get go. Humanoid robots in any form is a bad idea. I don't care if it's because you think they're going to, get artificially intelligent enough to, take control or anything. Just from a paranormal aspect, have you never seen things like the movie called The Ghost in the Machines? Okay. Ghosts, it's a fact. Look at every ghost hunter show, book, anything you've ever picked up, and they will tell you electronic equipment gets manipulated, messed with, all kinds of things from spirits. I think any humanoid robots, period, are a very, very bad idea from both a supernatural point of view and just an AI taking over point of view.
Yeah.
They honestly, that creeps me out more than like people who get creeped out at dolls and things like that.
Oh yeah. The doll thing. You know what this kind of reminds me of is like all of those movies that feature animatronics that like come to life, and they always become killer. There's no friendly animatronics that are like, "Oh, I'm awake now." Like they will become possessed.
See, and I mean, I tell everyone this: there are friendly spirits and there are not friendly spirits. Okay, there are people who have interacted with little kid spirits and they were very friendly and playful, and I miss mommy, or I like play with me, and rolling balls towards them in the middle of floors, creepy
Yeah.
horror movie stuff, but they weren't bad spirits. But just like in life, there are good people and there are bad people, and the bad people, when they die, do not miraculously become good spirits. There are some truly, I don't care what you want to call them, bad spirits, demonic spirits, angry spirits, whatever the word is. This is why I tell everyone, man, if you want to get into this, get into ghost hunting. It's a great time and it's really interesting, but don't get into it if you're not 100% committed, because when you open that doorway, it stays open. And like I've laid in bed and seen stuff at people's houses, friends of mine and stuff. And I'm like, I do. You've got something in your house, like, like you can't turn it off. You can feel when things are near you. And I tell people, pay attention to your body, man. It gives you signals. This energy they give off, you can feel it. You ever been in a room that wasn't creepy? It doesn't have to be a creepy room. It could be a room at your grandma's house. But you ever been in a room and all of a sudden, for no good reason, you feel like you like have the heebie-jeebies under your skin, like someone's standing there staring at you?
Yeah.
That's a spirit. 9 times out of 10, that is a ghost.
Okay, so that helps. That takes us into our next thing, right? Because we start off with the bad news. Hey, ghosts exists. That can scare people. That can freak people out, right? Most people are like, I don't want to. I don't want to even watch this live stream. This is too scary. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that don't want to watch horror movies or anything because this is new information and it has the potential to alter their perceptions and to have them considering things that are brand new to them. And oftentimes when things are brand new, they tend to be a little frightening, or they can be scary or give people anxiety. So just like with Supernatural Brothers, let's talk about the good news, the good side, the positive to acquiring information about this other realm, this other place of existence that coincides with ours, the energetic realm, the ghost world, the paranormal, etc., and how to prevent being haunted, or how to actually physically fight against negative spirits, specifically like demonic spirits, poltergeists, and you know what I mean? Like how would you fight against um just a straight up ghost, right? An apparition. And then how would it be different if you were fighting against something that was possessed? That's a physical body, whether it be like a robot, animatronic, or a human. You know what I mean? Like what are the nuances there?
Okay, that's a big question. As far as the what can you do about ghosts? For the most part, ghosts don't want to hurt you. Ghosts don't want to mess with you. Ghosts don't care about you. Okay, there are a few exceptions, and they're nasty spirits or good spirits, and they just want to interact. If you need to get rid of a ghost, personally, it all depends. There's so many different ways all around the world that people have claimed for decades have worked.
Yeah,
Christians and Catholics believe in blessings of the house. That does seem to work in a lot of cases. A lot of people believe in purity, burning sage, salt rings,
I do
thi-
that.
things of that nature. There's another one. It's an older one. Keeping a bowl of salt by your bed, like on your night table. Um, Ghosts supposedly don't like things that pure in nature, pure iron, pure salt, things like that. That's where they got all that from, supernatural and things.
Right. They
It's
put like
believed,
salt nuggets in the shotgun, or
yeah, the
rock
the
salt.
rock salt rounds for the shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's what I would use in a possession. So I'm not messing with no possession. Any spirit strong enough to take over another person, at that point, honestly, I've told people in my crew, you get possessed and you come near me, I'll knock you out. I'm
You know
not
what else?
messing with a ghost.
Hey, you know what else would be a really good weapon like this? And the weapons against the supernatural, they tend to be much different than traditional weapons that we would use against people or animals or whatever. Like, and they would seem ridiculous sometimes. Like, for example, so we were talking about like using a shotgun, which is a real weapon, full of rock salt to blast a ghost or whatever. But even more effective could be something as simple as like and a squirt bottle that has salt water in it, and you put it on mist or spray or something, and just spray like a little wall between you and whatever it is or whatever.
Well, and
What
a
I
lot of
mean? It
people don't
can't
realize
pass
how
through.
ingrained in our civilization these answers are. Everyone here probably has heard of the whole toss salt over your shoulder for good luck.
Yeah.
That was to chase off bad spirits. That's exactly what that's for. That's to dispel bad spirits that are following you. it had nothing to do with luck. It was
Yeah,
it changed to luck for people who didn't want to bring up the ghost aspect of it.
right.
But it was originally done to get rid of bad spirits that were following you. That's why you threw it over your shoulder behind you.
Yes. So there's direct attacks that people can do, like especially if you're a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator. Like this is the types of things people need to prepare for when you're putting yourself in possibly into harm's way or something, right? You want to make sure you can not just defend but attack. But there's also preventative measures that people can take, like you were saying, tossing the salt behind you or whatever. Barriers that can be erected. Like that's the whole putting the like a circle of sand or whatever. I think the sand originally was probably salt. And there's other materials, metals and things as well that could be used. In ancient times, people would put, like today we have a tradition. Many of these things turned into traditions over time that people lost the origin of. They don't know why they do it now, but they know that they need to do this.
Yep.
Oftentimes these traditions are implemented around certain holy days or holidays. So for example,
Sam
people,
Hain.
yeah, Halloween's coming up, right? This is the Halloween month or whatever. Christmas is also a spooky time, right? Which we don't, mainstream people don't really associate Christmas with being a spooky time, but it is.
I'm so glad you brought that back up because you said something about Christmas earlier, and I was dying to say it. Everyone's like supernatural about Christmas. What? Like, do you realize America is the only place that has a version of Santa Claus that doesn't have the evil brother version of Santa Claus?
Krampus.
The anti Claus.
Yeah.
Krampus is one of them, but there's, I mean, Belznikov. There's a billion names for it, and I mean all the way to like African tribes who believe if you were naughty once a year, this creature would come down, stuff you in a sack, and come take you away and torture you to death. And this was a real belief. People, Sam Hain, the reason Halloween started, people weren't putting treats out and decorating turnips and all that stuff because it used to be turnips instead of pumpkins. They weren't doing that for little kids to go out and get candy. That's not what the holiday started as. The holiday started as is that was the one night of the year where the veil between the living and the dead was the thinnest, and people knew it. And the demon Sam Hain would come to life and walk the earth. And the thing about Sam Hain is, according to legend, is Sam Hain doesn't have good eyesight. Sam Hain sees kind of through the veil, so it's very foggy and very distorted, which is why people started wearing costumes to hide from him. They'd wear costumes of monsters and demons and ghosts and bloodied things so that when Sam Hain saw them, he'd go, "Oh, okay, they're already dead." And
Right.
he wouldn't
Yeah.
kill you.
That's a recurring thing, is for people to dress up and to blend in, just like in the zombie movies. People pretend to be a zombie or whatever, like to try to blend in, to trick these monsters or spirits. Sometimes people can confuse the two. Over time, many different spiritual entities have sort of been cartoonified or become physical monsters. Physical monsters a long time ago have become exaggerated and become spiritual beings over time. They get mixed up sometimes. But another one of these traditions is like hanging things, protecting your house, your living quarters. There's things that people did to protect themselves. Lighting the Yule log was one of those around Christmas time. That was specifically to prevent spirits from entering into certain entrances, like your chimney into the house, right? It's like that. That's Santa comes down the chimney. Like Santa's evil, dude. Like I don't care. I don't see Santa as being a positive thing at all.
I
Um,
always thought that song was creepy. He sees you when you're sleeping. Yeah, like I'm not sure I want someone seeing me while I'm sleeping. That's just creepy.
Yeah, you're not describing a friendly character
And then
at
the very
all.
next line, he knows when you're awake.
F that. Like
Why are you watching
we need
me?
to do a remix of this song, dude, so people know Santa's not good. Another thing people did was they would deck the halls with boughs of holly, right? This wasn't because holly's so pretty.
Holly,
It's
vervain, and mint.
spiky and it's poisonous and it's you know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? Why not deck the halls with wreaths of daisies, or you know what I mean? Like holly was specifically used because of how it combats energetic properties. Um,
I was gonna say, yeah, holly, vervain, mint. There's a lot of plants in lore that help with spirits. Um, there's so many things. I mean, you got to dig through and look at all of the occurrences. Like, I'm a firm believer that flowing water is a big source of
yes,
energy for
yes,
spirits. And I believe that the reason people say that spirits can't cross flowing water is because it's not because it's water, it's moving and they can't walk. They're not going to get like washed away by the water. It's because you have to understand how much energy is actually in water. If a ghost tried to cross water, I firmly believe that it's either destroyed or it's hit with so much energy and moved so quickly, so far away that it takes time for it to be able to come back to that same location. Um, there's millions of myths and legends about how to deal with spirits. Um, some of them less creepy than others. There was one that involved the skinning of cats. That was always fun to learn about. There's another one that involved what was it? Swallowing bones of some kind of bird. There's just all kinds of things out there. Oh wow, that is sorry, that picture distracted me. That is a creepy looking picture. I like
yeah.
that.
Well, it reminded me of the banshee. So, like, there's different types of crying spirits, spirits that scream,
Yep.
cry,
Ladies in
shriek,
white,
mimic.
banshees. Yep.
Yes, and so oftentimes they say that they're found at riverbanks by streams, pixies, even. You know what I mean? Like they're not always malevolent in how they're depicted. Sometimes they are. It just depends on the people's perception of it and their experience with it. And oftentimes lights as well. So lights will be seen, glowing orbs, streamers, right? Streamers
Right.
that flow around or whatever. And oftentimes these things, like because they're electromagnetic in nature, they follow the natural currents of the earth and their surroundings or whatnot. They're drawn to certain things and they're repelled by certain things. So water is one of these things as well, like streams and things. Um, One of the other things I was going to say too is, speaking of like the traditions, people would put up horseshoes. Or today they put up horseshoes on their door specifically as a form of good luck. And if we pay attention in horror movies and stuff, and just any movie really, oftentimes you'll see this as well. They put up a horseshoe as a prop on people's doors. They put it up there for good luck. Well, why is a horseshoe good luck? What does that have to do with anything with luck? It's not luck. It's Loki in the ancient, Norse, you know gods or whatever, like, Loki the god, right? That's where luck comes from. You had good Loki or bad Loki. He could be either one. He was sometimes seen as a good guy, sometimes seen as a bad guy. And if your Loki was good, or Loki was with you, then good things would happen, or you were protected. If you had bad Loki or bad luck, then bad things would happen. So the horseshoe was, I believe, a horseshoe shaped magnet, which is one of the strongest forms that a magnet can be, two-dimensionally. If you make it three-dimensional, it becomes a bowl magnet or a cup magnet. But people would hang the horseshoe or the magnet up on their door because, well, I'll say this: plasma, like, in Ghostbusters, they talk about plasm, ectoplasm, and stuff like that. It's just short for plasma. Plasma is repelled by a magnet. It's repelled by a few different things, but a magnet is one of those things. A strong magnetic force repels plasma and keeps it away, or keeps it at bay. And there's other things too. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I like the whole thing. A lot of people don't understand too, man, that what you said, the whole plasm and things like that. There have been studied, documented cases of ghosts leaving behind residue, which you can call it ectoplasm, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah,
It's for those of you who've never read books on this or seen it. It's described as kind of like a non-Newtonian fluid. It's both kind of like a solid and a liquid, kind of at the same time.
yeah, sort of viscous.
Yeah. I fully believe that that's just a manifestation of strong spirits.
Yeah,
Spirits who are able to actually bring physical traces of themselves, whatever you want to call it, physical traces of their energy. By I don't know if it's a byproduct of their energy, maybe. But now that being said, the only cases of ever that are have been related to ectoplasm are usually in severely like strong spirits. I'm talking like things that are able to throw furniture. Not
Right.
your general
Not a weak force.
yeah, your general shadow creature walking through a wall in your living room is not going to leave a stain on your wall in the shape of a person or
Right.
ectoplasm dripping down it. Um, there's been reports of people who have seen there was a house for the longest time. There was actually in Indiana that the blinds used to bleed oil material and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. They had scientists and priests and all kinds of people look at these blinds in this house. They'd go in, they'd clean them, and they'd go back in the house 40, 50 minutes later, and they were dripping with this.
Yeah. This is
Ooh,
where the walls bleeding comes into play, like all of that stuff, from The
yes,
Shining and stuff. The walls starting to bleed, having like in the movies they oftentimes show like a dark stain or something that's coming from like above or on the sides where the walls are or whatever. Um, let's transition from the spirit world to the physical. Let's talk about monsters, especially because Halloween's coming up. I love talking about monsters so much because we're told that they're not real, that this is just fiction. It's not real. People will tell their children, as a matter of fact, because the children know. They know there's stuff out there. They feel it. They sense it, and the adults will lie to them. They'll say, "Oh, there's no such thing as monsters." Oh, great, no such thing as monsters. And what happens? Like, these are the people that do not survive in the scary movie scenario. The people that just didn't believe at all, and they don't know what to do. They're not equipped with information, at the very least, to know the pros and cons and whatnot. Um, let's talk about. Let's see. Let's talk about traditional. Let's start with that. Let's talk about
pick
traditional
pick a monster. I'll go there with
movie
you, brother.
monsters.
You want to do the Mummy? We want a
I'm
Frankenstein. Where we
I'm
want to go?
gonna I'm gonna let you take the wheel, and I'm gonna bust out a picture here of all of the traditional ones that I've pulled up, and I'll let you talk about what you feel like the reality is behind these ones. So we've got the Wolfman,
Frankenstein, and
Frankenstein.
we'll start with Frankenstein. Frankenstein, entirely plausible. People are like, no, it's not. Look up the Russian experiment where they had a dog's severed head that they brought back to life, like actually brought it back,
Oh yeah, I've seen that video. I don't
and
even
they
know if I
kept
can play that one because
and
it's
they
so
kept it
gruesome.
and they kept it alive. It wasn't like it came back for a minute. Like they kept it alive for days.
Yeah,
Like that is entirely possible. And people who laugh that off, man, you'll be really messed up in the head if you figured out that's for real. Once again, an entirely plausible thing that I actually believe people have done. I believe
Eh,
people in modern times are doing it. I believe governments are doing it.
yeah.
I
They're switching body
100%.
parts around, putting this head on that body and stuff. I know they are. You know what I mean? Like, if they're doing it to animals, they're doing it to people. I already know,
Same thing with
and it's just
cloning, man.
it's happening underground. But another thing that the Frankenstein thing reminds me of is, I mean, he's a zombie. You know what I mean? Like, he's a zombie. He's made of dead body parts that have been stitched back together from different people or whatever. But he was brought to life, just like Jason Voorhees, by lightning, by electricity that sparked the life, to run through the body or whatever. I was talking about like the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, its
See,
association with
Frankenstein's even
Halloween.
scarier than a zombie, though, man, because a Frankenstein being like that dog, like if he was a real character, Frankenstein himself, Frankenstein's monster would be. Um, the reason Frankenstein is scarier than a zombie is because zombies, 99% of the time in horror movie and fiction, don't have the ability to think, to
Right.
adapt, to
Yeah.
learn.
Right.
Frankenstein had all of that. Frankenstein knew how to open a door. He knew how to lock a door. He knew, you know,
Yeah.
he retained memory. So
Eh,
even in that aspect, I mean, he's 10 times scarier than a zombie is because he,
yeah. And he was determined in the book Frankenstein, which is way older than all the movies and concepts and stuff. He chased his creator all the way around the world. Like, think of what that entails to be able to get to different places, go over different terrain, survive and whatnot. And he also exemplified feelings as well.
And he
not just
covered
being
himself. There was,
emotionless.
if I remember the book passage right, he actually used a shawl or something to cover his face because he knew people would be freaked out.
Yes,
That they,
right.
so like once again, that's a sign of intellect. He knew what he was doing. You know, a zombie's not going to try to cloak itself to get in close to you to bite you. Frankenstein knows how to sneak up on you and track you. That's freaking scary.
All right,
And
let's pick another one.
yeah, absolutely.
We got the Invisible
Oh
Man. We
God,
got the
I love them
Mummy.
all.
We got Dracula. We got
uh,
Aquaman. What's this dude's name?
Did you say Aquaman?
He's an
It's the
Aquaman.
creature from the Blue Lagoon,
Oh
man.
yes, okay. So the creature from the Blue Lagoon. What is this guy? Is this guy off the right? Is this a vampire? Who's this dude over here? I forgot.
Who are you looking at?
This guy way down here to the right. He's like
That's the Phantom of the
Bella
Opera.
Lugosi.
Phantom of the
Oh,
Opera.
that's the Phantom. Okay, yeah. I didn't recognize him without his little mask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
so
Phantom.
who's up next? What do you
Um,
got?
just because it's an easy pick and an easily explainable one. Werewolves, man, lycanthropy. Got
Ah,
to go
yes.
there. Lycanthropy is what I believe to be a watered down version of a real disease that used to afflict people. I believe what it is now is not what it used to be. Like many other mutations, it evolved. I fully believe that transformation from person to animal is a real deal, man. Every culture on this planet since the history of time have talked about it, from skinwalkers to witches to shapeshifters to, I mean, there's lore out the wazoo about people especially turning into large dogs or wolves.
Yeah.
You know, these, you go to people laugh about it here, man. You go to Transylvania, and I know most people associate Transylvania with the vampire, which, by the way, they don't call it vampires in Transylvania. They're strigoi, which is a whole nother thing. But they fully believe werewolves exist, and there's documented tracks people have put on the internet of wolf prints that are just way bigger than what a wolf print should be.
Yeah, giant
I
ones.
mean, like humongous. Yeah, there are people who've said they've seen wolf prints literally that they were following turn into barefoot human prints out of nowhere. So werewolves, yeah, I 100% believe in lycanthropy. I believe it used to be more of a transformational disease. I believe now that's dependent upon who you are bloodline wise and how which part of the mutation you have, whether you have the modern lycanthropy or the old lycanthropy. I believe people in the old lycanthropy were full on shapeshifters.
Okay, so this brings us closer to like also witches and what was it? Skinwalkers? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, skinwalkers.
Yeah, so they said that that there was people that had certain abilities and power from a long time ago that were able to change their appearance and whatnot. And one of the forms that they took was a dog or a wolf or a coyote or things like that.
This is not an old world thing. I want to explain this real quick. Okay, there are modern day sightings of this. Okay, there, Skinwalker Ranch, right here in the United States. It was less than 35 years ago. The owners of that property were attacked by what they believed was a skinwalker. They emptied rounds into this thing from multiple weapons, and it shook it off like it didn't care. Like
Wow.
there are actual current day, modern day, in our generations, reported sightings of skinwalkers and beasts that end up irrevocably being human or humanoid once they change back.
Yeah. All right, so let's tell the people, how do you kill a werewolf?
Oh God, so many
Traditionally,
ways. A silver bullet.
silver bullet, right? Now, why? Where does that come from? So let me tell you, have I told you my theory on this?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't think originally it was a actual silver bullet. Different metals can affect people in different ways, but I believe it was a quicksilver bullet. That it was actually what's called quicksilver, which is mercury that's put into like your thermometer, the old school thermometers, and then you see the silver rising up as the temperature increases or whatever. But they put they hollow out a bullet or they put it on the tip of the bullet, and then whenever they shoot the bullet into the creature, it explodes. It's like an exploding bullet, and the quicksilver goes into their bloodstream, and it poisons them from the inside. Instead of just like, oh no, silver. Otherwise, you could stab it with a fork. You know what I mean? Like,
It all goes back to
yeah,
purity, and that fits what you were just saying about the mercury. You have to realize mercury is another element that is a pure element. Mercury doesn't have other shit in it. It has mercury. It's what you consider to be a pure element. That goes back to the salt and the silver and the iron and things of that nature. Um, there actually are accounts of old tribes making people drink molten liquid metals such as silver and things like that forcibly
yeah.
when they believed that they were infected with evil spirits or cases of werewolf. Um, I was telling you about the Strigoi, the vampire thing in Romania. They have like there are some hardcore rituals to get rid of monsters around the world. Romania takes the cake. Um, in the early to mid 2010 range, there was actually a village up there where it made national headlines because this local man had died, and people were seeing him in these intense fever dreams throughout the whole village, children, other people, and they started getting sick, like physically symptomed sick. And the villagers believed that this man who had been buried was coming back as a strigoi and draining people of energy. Vampires in Romania are not like what we consider Dracula, Vlad the Impaler type Dracula people.
Okay.
They believe they drain your energy, not your blood.
Okay. Yeah. Energetic vampires.
And yes, like a psychic vampire, exactly. And they believed this so much that they broke into this man's grave along with, I won't get into how they desecrated his body, but along with desecrating his body, they ripped his heart out, ground it up with some other herbs and ingredients, and they all ate it because
With
this
herbs and spices instead of potatoes?
they actually ate the deceased man. Now here's the crazy part.
Jeez.
Call it group psychosis, call it what you want, but the attacks on these 12, 15 villagers, these mental attacks during their sleep and all this stuff, stopped.
Right.
It
Okay.
all stopped cold when this happened, when they did this ceremony.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I mean, it could be crazy, it could not be. I'm not here to judge. I don't know. But I find it really interesting that everything stopped the minute the ritual was done.
Wow.
No other people, and I mean, they brought charges like criminal charges against these people, obviously, for grave desecration and things like that. It's still not
Right.
legal just because it's Romania.
Well, that used to be more common back in the day, like people were digging up the dead left and right to make sure that the body wasn't coming back to life. Or I just talked about this example of they called it the cadaver synod or whatever, where they dug up a dead pope, to put him on trial. They brought him dead body into the courtroom and put him on trial. They used to believe in the resurrection of the dead. They used to believe in things like zombies and the dead coming to life and wandering about at night and attacking people and eating them, possibly to sustain their lives or to get energy or whatever. And the people who eat energy or life force, right, is a concept that's seen around the world, not just in like traditional monsters, but average people as well. Like, I mean, maybe not average, but you
I
know,
guess it kind of fits in the place of monsters, but I want to go on a side note here, real quick.
yeah.
I think one of the most interesting ones people don't ever talk about is the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
Okay. The Grim Reaper is literally a monster as old as time itself. Man has been talking about death as an actual being or beings. Maybe there's more than one, I don't know, for long, long periods of time. And one of my most fascinating instances of this that I found was during the bubonic plague. There's actually Renaissance level paintings of what people had seen back during the plagues. And a lot of people reported seeing these tall, thin, cloaked figures carrying an actual scythe outside of these towns that were being hit with the bubonic plague.
I'm glad you know how to pronounce that word.
Bubonic.
I just learned the scythe. I was
Oh,
like,
scythe.
how do you pronounce that word? All
Yeah,
right,
no,
back Grim
yeah.
Reaper. Grim Reaper, go ahead.
But they've actually reported there's Renaissance level portraits people have drawn of the things they saw outside these towns that were affected. And I mean, you have to remember the bubonic plague back then were taking out half of like half cities. They weren't just this was not like 10, 12 people dying. This was like thousands and thousands of people dying. And the weird thing was is they were almost all eerily similar sightings. They all saw this tall hooded figure. He was always in either a field or, a very out in the open place, just standing out in the open when these towns were literally going insane. I mean, imagine how scary these people were already terrified to death because people around them, I mean, that's a scary disease. Body parts turning black, you're dying within days. People were freaked out enough. I don't think that they had the know-how or the thought presence to fake, you know, 20 different cities all seeing the same figure outside these cities that are being hit with the plague. I think that's the literal figure. I honestly believe Grim Reapers are real. I believe they are 100% a monster.
Yeah,
I believe they are the end all be all. It's time to go. That they're death. And I don't know what they do or what their purpose is, but I 100% that's got to be up there towards the top of the king of the monsters.
I mean, they're featured all the time in different ways. There's different variations of them that are types of Grim Reapers in the movies too. Remember when we saw Ghost as children? And so check this out. When we were kids, my mom took me and my brother to see the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze in it, right? And there's this scene, like if you're evil and you die in the movie, there's these shadow figures that like stretch out and they start making these hissing, creepy noises as they get closer. Yeah. And then they eventually grab the soul of the dead person and drag them off into hell or wherever they're going, right? When that happened, the movie ended or whatever, or like my brother stood up in the middle of the theater as a child and like addressed the audience. And he was like, that's it.
I'm
I'm
never
never
being
being bad again. Like
I literally did too.
that,
That
that did something to him.
that
He's like,
scene in
this is
that
real.
movie still messes with me, to be honest with you. And those of you who have ever seen that scene when the curly headed dude that was the accomplice
Yeah.
gets dragged to hell by those things, that honestly was probably the one scene in a non-scary movie, ghost movie, that freaked me out worse than anything else because I was like, dude, like they came out of the ground. They didn't even have to they didn't have to run
Mm,
after you. They just came up out of the ground and started grabbing onto them and approaching them. And
yeah.
I
And he
was
was
like,
just dragged off.
that's one of the reasons why I like ghost hunting so much though, is because and this is not a cocky thing, but it takes so much to get me scared to the point where I have adrenaline pumping.
Yeah.
Ghosts freak me the freak out. People who think I do this and I'm not scared of ghosts, oh, dude, some of that I've jumped. I've had experiences that made me jump 4 feet in the air and scream like a 6-year-old little girl.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, there is something about hearing and seeing something, especially seeing something move when you know nothing touched it,
Right.
that you're just instantly like, okay, if that thing were to decide to come at me,
Yeah.
how could I defend myself?
Yeah, it's playing chess, man. It's playing chess in the spiritual world. Now, I want to say this too because there are some people that just I can understand. Some people might think like you're just dealing with evil powers and it's just all bad or whatever. One of the best weapons, one of the best things that my brother and I have going for us is our very soul. That's our spirit. It's our energy. It's our vibration. We're not to brag, but happy-go-lucky, carefree, kind people, and that's the most powerful weapon or form of protection or cloak or guard that we have against these types of things, which is why we have a certain element of confidence when it comes to speaking on these things and our experiences and diving into these realms or whatever. So that's the number one thing I would recommend. before you investigate or, dabble in any kind of weird stuff or anything, get right in your who you are on the inside, which is like the core of pretty much all religions and stuff as well.
Know who
But
you are. Yep.
yeah, know who you are, and be informed about, these monsters and creatures and whatnot, because this is why I like to talk about it, to be informed, and to grow the mind and the knowledge, as to add it to the spirit that already exists, right? And I found, working on that spirit, if you want to know how to like amplify your spirit to make it like a really good positive spirit that repels negative forces, that's how you live your life. That's just all the little decisions that people make and how they treat each other. And
And people who say ghosts don't exist, man, I just got to say one thing. You can have your beliefs, and I am totally cool with that. Some people don't want to accept it. They don't like it. They don't want to talk about it. Whatever the case is, they don't believe in it. I'm fine with that. You live your life. I'll live mine. You know your truth. I know mine, and we can go our separate ways. But I will say this: there is more evidence, more lore, more stories, more history on hauntings than literally any other subject on earth, with one exception, which is war. The only thing written about and documented more in human history other than ghosts is war. Ghosts is the second most documented thing on this planet. Every
yeah,
culture on every continent
yeah. I
has
mean, it goes all
ghosts.
the way back to the very beginning of our written history.
Yeah.
That people have found. Like I was pointing out the other day that there's an old story. People call it a story. Um, it's damn, the story just I forgot the name of the story. It's the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's what it is. The Epic of Gilgamesh is ancient, thousands of years old, and it mentions all the things that we're talking about. There are monsters in this. There are ghosts. They talk about raising the dead, and it's portrayed as like a travelogue of the hero, which is Gilgamesh, and all these weird entities and creatures, and he goes down into the underworld and meets the spiritual forces down there, and gods and goddesses, and reptilian entities that guard the gates to different places down there and stuff. And there's this one goddess that she made a threat because she liked Gilgamesh, but he didn't want to have anything to do with this goddess. So she said, I will raise the dead of the earth and they will eat the living. Like, this is a clear zombie reference.
Yeah.
Like one of the very first pieces of
Look at the Bible.
literature
It
we
says in
have.
the King James Bible, man, about you look at any Christian Bible that talks about the apocalypse, and the dead shall rise and what? Inherit the earth.
Hmm.
That's not just talking about ghosts. It says the dead will rise, not their spirit.
Right.
That's yeah, that's Epic of Gilgamesh. That's it. That's I mean the Bhagavad Gita, I'm pretty sure in the Quran there's a mention of it. Almost every religious text there is has some kind of zombie like reference, like actual, hey, the dead are gonna come alive and mess everyone up.
Well, I put on the screen right now. This is your channel here on YouTube. You've got 346 subscribers right now and 3 videos. The reason is that he started this a while back, and a couple videos were taken down because I'm coaching my brother and giving him some tips on like how to keep your videos up, because he will talk about some very controversial theories, conspiracies, things of that nature. And if you want to come over and subscribe, I believe you're planning
I'm
on
thinking
maybe
it's
like
back
getting
up.
back into
Here's
doing this type of stuff.
I plan on posting my first video here at the end of this month. Yeah, my first video back.
Okay, sweet. All right, so this is StraitjacketWhiteRabbit. That's the name of my brother's channel here. I'm gonna have him back on as a guest, and if you would like to ask him questions, okay, as specifically like as a paranormal investigator, the different subjects that we've discussed today when it comes to monsters, the supernatural, ghosts, and things like that. I'll actually go through those in the comment section on this video for the next time he comes back. So I will ask you the questions that my audience has for you. If they leave a question for you, a genuine question in the comment section, then we'll have like a little question and answer segment next time. How's that sound?
Absolutely sounds great. And I know we were talking about it and we haven't come up with anything solid yet, but we are talking about sometime trying to do an investigation with me, right?
Yes. Oh, there's a place. I already have a
I
spot. Like
really want to go and
I
do this with you, bring you
well,
with me.
okay, well, it all when I have the money, okay, and I can afford to, rent a room at this hotel that's up there in Cripple Creek. There's a specific one
Oh,
that I've
that's
been
right. I
researching.
forgot. Yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah, that's the one I want to go to. So what I would like to do is whenever we can afford it and stuff, and we've got some time, to rent a room up there for maybe a night or two, and do a full on investigation, like and show people like documenting this is what we're doing, not just pointing the camera around and going, oh, did I hear something or whatever, like, but actually showing them the prep work, all of the things, doing live streams, as well as like I'm gonna piece together an edited video of the entire experience.
Oh, see, that'd be cool because
And
I've
I
never
also
done
want to
that
like
before on an investigation. I like that.
I want to interview people too, like because up there in Cripple Creek, in the mountains, there's a lot of mines and mining operations and stuff. So I'd like to maybe hit up a mine, see if we can get into some of the mines or something, and also interview some of the locals up there as well. So that's just, you know,
Absolutely.
we'll make it happen.
Stay tuned.
Yes, definitely. All right, bro. Thank you so much. I love having you on as a guest.
I love being here.
As
You guys are all awesome, man. I love your fans. I love your page. Congratulations. I know I've already said this to you in person, but once again, in front of everyone, 100,000 subscribers, you guys. I mean, that's a milestone. He got an award and everything. That's absolutely amazing. I'm totally proud of you, bro.
thank you. All right, sweet.
But
Well, if you guys want to vote for my brother in the face of horror, once again, go to my
yes,
community tab. There's a link there. Click on that, and you get one free vote every single day. They have different rounds, so there's like every week there's one round or something, and
we're now in the part where if you're not in first place, you don't progress. So anything you
yeah,
guys can any vote you can cast will help me out a lot, man. I appreciate all of you.
yes, and then I think it ends in November. Is that right? Like
The entire
or
thing is
Halloween?
no, the entire thing is the last day for the entire competition is November 5th. There are competition right now. I believe we have 5 days left in this round. I'm currently in second place. They from now on the rounds will reset the votes for everybody. So at the end of each
Okay,
particular round, everybody's votes go back down to zero,
yeah,
and they keep it going. But
okay,
like I
sweet.
said, I appreciate you. I appreciate all your subscribers. Anybody who can cast a vote, do so. And I think you guys are all amazing.
All right, love you, bro. I'm gonna roll the credits. Until next time, I'm Jay Dreamer saying good vibes and goodbye.
I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something moving on, the way of being long gone. Ooh.